All right, so let's graph the cosecant function. So f of theta is equal to cosecant of theta. Remember, the definition of cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine function. So 1 over sine theta. All right, so let's see if we can graph that. All right, so let's plug in 0 degrees. So let's figure out the cosecant of 0. So on the unit circle, so this would be 1 over sine of 0 degrees. Remember, the sine of 0 is 0. So that's 1 over 0, which is undefined. So we'll not plot a point there. Okay, the cosecant of 90 degrees. So that's 1 over sine of 90 degrees. Sine of 90 degrees was 1. Which would be 1 over 1. So that would be 1. So sine of 90 is 1. Cosecant of 180 degrees. So that would be 1 over the sine of 180 was 0. So that is undefined again. So we'll not plot a point there. The cosecant of 270 degrees. That would be 1 over. The sine of 270 degrees was negative 1. So we get a negative 1 for 270 degrees. At the cosecant of 30 degrees. Now, so obviously if we did 360 over here, 360 would also be undefined. That would be 1 over 0. So undefined there. Undefined at 360, 180, 0. Cosecant of 30 degrees. That would be 1 over. The sine of 30 degrees was 1/2. So 1 over 1/2 would be 2. Okay, so let's plot these points. Quite far apart. So there's 30 degrees, and we get a 2. Cosecant of 45 degrees. So that's 1 over the square root of 2 over 2. So that would be 2 over the square root of 2. If we rationalize that, we get 2 square root of 2 over 2. Simplify, and you get the square root of 2. And the square root of 2 is approximately, talk to my calculator here, maybe, is approximately 1.41. So a cosecant of 45 degrees here is 1.41 by. The cosecant of 60 degrees. That would be 1 over the sine of 60 degrees. So 1 over the square root of 3 over 2. That would be 2 over the square root of 3. Rationalize that, and we get 2 square roots of 3 over 3. And we can ask our calculator approximately what that value is. So 2 square root of 3 divided by 3 is 1.15. So if we plot that, get that value. All right, so that's starting to give us an idea. So let's plot some points in this quadrant. So this would be 135 degrees. 2 more. No, that's not right. 90 plus 30, that's 120 degrees. This one's 135. This one's 150 degrees. All right, so 120 degrees, obviously on the unit circle, that matches up with the 60 degree. So it should match with this one, except the y-coordinate in the second quadrant will be positive. So our answer should be positive 1.15. So it would be this. And then 135 degrees would match up with the 45 degrees. The y-coordinate is positive in the second quadrant. So my answer would be positive 1.41 here. 150 degrees matches up with the 30 degrees. And again, it would be positive. So we are up here at 2. So it looks like that. And let's plot some more points. Let's say this would be 210 degrees, 225 degrees, 240 degrees. Okay, so now on the unit circle, I'm in the third quadrant. So my y-coordinate would be negative. So the sign value would be negative, which would make this whole answer be negative. So my answers, the output of the function will be negative in this quadrant. 210 matches up with 150, except it's negative. So my answer should be negative 2. Here. 225 matches up with 135, except it's negative, so it would be negative 1.41. Value. 240 degrees matches with 120 degrees. So, except it's negative, so it would be negative 1.15. That goes back there. All right, let's do one more quadrant. So this would be 300 degrees, 315 degrees, 330 degrees. All right, so 300 degrees matches with 240. So now I'm in the fourth quadrant, so my y-coordinate is negative. So I will get this value, negative 1.15. 315 degrees matches with 225. And again, it's negative, so that would be here. And 330 matches with 210, so it's negative, so it would be here. All right, well, let's go to this quadrant. So I have negative 30 degrees, negative 45 degrees, negative 60 degrees. So I'm in the fourth quadrant, so my y value will be negative, and negative 30 matches with 30, so it's negative, so that would be at negative 2. So that would be here. Move those out of the way. All right, negative 45 matches with 45, so my answer is negative. So negative 1.41 here. All right, negative 60 matches with positive 60, except it's negative, so negative 1.15. So that goes there. Negative 90 degrees. So if I go clockwise around the unit circle to negative 90 degrees, my y-coordinate would be negative 1, 1 over negative 1. So that goes there. All right. negative 180 degrees. So the y-coordinate at negative 180 would be 0. 1 over 0 is undefined, so no points there. We can figure out what these 3 points are. Okay, this would be negative 120 degrees, negative 135 degrees, negative 150 degrees. Negative 120 matches with negative 60. Negative 120, I would be in the third quadrant, so my y value would be negative. And you see what's going to happen. It's going to match up with that. This will match up with this. Negative 150 will match up with that. And you get that. All right, so now we can pretty much see what this looks like. We're going to have some vertical asymptotes at the points where the function is undefined. So at negative 180, at 180, and at 360. And also at the y-axis. So it's undefined for 0 degrees. And the graph looks like this. Goes right up that asymptote. Goes up that asymptote. Here we go down this asymptote. Down that asymptote. And over here the same thing. Alright, so there's just a graph of the cosecant of theta. What is the domain of this function? So the domain, all the theta values that I can plug in. So it's all real numbers except what? So what can we not plug in? Well, we can't plug in negative 180 degrees, 0 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees, and so on. So all those multiples of 180. All right, what's the range? All right, so the range is all the values that the function spits out. So you can see it spits out everything from negative infinity to negative 1. So from negative infinity to negative 1. Make that really clear. The negative 1 is included in the range. So that gets a square bracket. And that symbol means union with. So also included 1 from 1 to infinity. The 1 is included. We get that. So this symbol here means union. Union with, so it means any number in this set or in this set. So it's just a symbol that means or. Any number in this set or any number in that set is in the range.